Hello friends, welcome to this evening's painting extravaganza with Big Deno. We'll just turn that down a smidge. We're on to painting some more Oathsworn models tonight. I'm actually not painting this one, but I'm just going to quickly undercoat her in white. And yeah, that'll help me decide what I need to do. G'day, Match Fixer. As per the last couple of streams, friends, I am going to drop my head off so that I can use this footage for editing some films. But it is Party Monday, so I'm wearing my tie. You can still, of course, hear my voice, unfortunately. Cool. Been playing a couple of really interesting board games. Well, one, I guess. Just one. Imperium Classics. I have ordered a game that runs alongside it called Imperium Legends, but it hasn't arrived yet. Yeah, really cool. Still sort of wrapping my head around the strategy and the decision making, but it's pretty cool. All right, let's get into. She looks good. Get into the priest. The priest. All right, priesty boy. G'day, All Might. What's going on, buddy? I'm good, champion. All right, what color should we paint this guy for an underlayer? A lot of metals. So let's do a blue. Let's do a cold blue. And we might actually use. No, we use regal blue. Let's start recording here. Let's use dark Prussian actually. I like that one. Dark Prussian blue. G'day, Roland Pellis. What's happening? So this model is from a board game called Oathsworn Into the Deepwoods. It's actually shipping right now as we speak. After a long Kickstarter period. And yeah, we're about to paint the bad boy. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get a few models early from the game to put together some painting videos, which is a bit exciting. So I'm currently filming my palette and showing what I'm doing over there, as well as on the screen. Ah, awesome, mate. Yes. Yeah, it is a cool model. It's one of the coolest ones in the range. The range is really awesome. There's really dynamic collection of figures. No, it's about 45 mil scale actually, buddy. Roughly. Probably gut fill that little area there. Let's do that, I think. All right, I'm letting you in on one of the secrets that I'm going to reveal in my videos right now. So pay close attention. Right here, I have some PVA glue. And I'm actually going to use the PVA glue to fill along this seam line right here. Normally should wait for your paint to dry, Deno, you idiot. Yep, so you can actually just use PVA glue, a couple of thin coats. You can soften the edges with water, and it'll fill those gaps. Piece of cake. It's my preferred gap filling method. It doesn't work for all gaps. Sometimes you need putty. But most of the time it'll get you a pretty reasonable finish, and it'll dry in a fraction of the time. So I recommend it. All right, so what we're going to try and do with this champion is turn these into a light white color. I'm going to go into pastel blue, and then into a deck 10 maybe. Put all the base on white. Then what other areas that we need to do? So the book, the leather bits, the armor, and the rock. All right, so let's do something fun with the rock. The rock. Hey, Corvus Oculum. G'day, mate. I'll just throw my head back on the screen for a second. Hello, friends. Oh, and Rottweiler as well. G'day, friends. What's happening? Normally I have a different setup, but I'm actually painting some models for that I'm going to turn this footage into some painting videos. So I'm taking my face off the screen. But g'day, g'day, welcome. I'm painting this guy. Into German yellow. Yeah, I might change permanently to a little bit less stuff on the screen. Could work. All right. Let's go. Good night, Rodweiler. Thanks for the raid, buddy. You're all superstars. All right. Yeah, man, I agree. Hey, Bucks. Yeah, the thing that first attracted me to the game was the figures. Really, really keen on the figures pretty much from day one. It's yeah, simple, really fun idea with the changing weapons. That's all armor. That's all chainmail. That's all leather. That's all armor. That's all armor. That's his hand. G'day, Trevster. Ask away, my friend. G'day, Jen. That's a cool question, mate. It's actually not really that difficult to set up a really good quality stream, particularly if you've already got a setup for streaming gaming. Um, I will. Yeah, so all you need that Elgato makes a thing called a cam link 4K or a capture card, which allows you to connect a camera up through an HDMI slot um, to allow you to get really crystal clear picture. So pretty much that's all you need. The other stuff, so my setup normally, I have a webcam, which is looking down over my wet palette, and I have a webcam for my face, and then I have the cam link for the miniature painting area. So those are the only things you need. But as I'm sure you've figured out, and I'm sure you feel yourself, if the quality of the figure that's being painted on the screen is not any good, you'll really struggle to make an interesting stream. So if you're going to invest in streaming, spending time streaming, you really probably want to have a good DSLR camera or similar connected through that cam link, as I said. Um, I'll show you a few of these other models that I painted shortly, friends. Well, I've only done two that both have been done on stream, but you can check them out. The sort of semi-finished ones, and that's probably the only advice I'd give you, mate. Is just make sure you land that stream quality, because if you get that, you're pretty much in the clear. It's the hardest bit. Thanks, mate. Good night. So we're going for white here, friends. This is the robes. This guy's the priest. So in this video, I'm focusing on how to paint white and also how to paint stone, because this is a stone hammer. So we're gonna focus this video on stone and white. So one of my favorite teachers, Meg Maples, did an advanced class on color theory and stuff that I took many years ago now. And one of the things that really blew my mind about the class was a section on white. So white in general, I think we go about it from a miniature painting perspective of like, well, you just paint white, don't you? And yes, you do, but white is one of the colors, probably the main color that is really heavily influenced by its environment around it. So it's very rare for white to be pure white. And from a miniature painting perspective, it's really difficult to paint white and not get it lost, not losing contrast and value shift. So when I'm painting white, usually the lesson I'm trying to give to people is not, don't paint white. Paint other colors that are dark greys, or sorry, light greys, and make it look like it's white by artificially darkening things around them, or variety of other reasons, a variety of other ways. So right now, this already looks almost white, even though we're using a blue and a color called Deck Tan. So okay, let's go. All right, so this bit will need to be a little bit more. So this color is not white. This is a mixture of Deck Tan and pastel blue. It's fine, a little bit of yellow. But again, it's starting to read as white purely because of the colors around it being introduced into the atmosphere and the light. See ya, All Might. Have a good night, mate. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you. True, don't forget me a bit. I remember you said. Don't know if you're still about, Bucks, but are you planning on coming and having a chin wag tonight? We can still chat even though your face won't be on screen. If you fancy. And to do the kind of thing that you think you might be into, well, maybe later. Get hot by the refrigerator in the kitchen. Honestly, Match Fixer, I have never purchased that color, so I cannot attest to that myself. My gut instinct on any contrast paint that is attempting to market itself as a white is that it is not a white. It is a failure. It is a failure and an injustice. That is my unverified opinion. It just feels very backwards for me to try and shade white. Like the very concept is utterly backwards. Very few colors you can't shade, but I've got to tell you, I think white is on that list. Yeah. It all. I want it all. I want it all. I want it now. Into the future. Might need to tweak that exposure, I think, friends. No, not iris. Exposure. Thank you. All right. So we may just do a little bit of this deck tan as a highlight. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So let's do this stone. Stone is one of the most fun things. Bucks, are you joining me tonight, mate? I'll find a paint. Sweet. I won't have you on screen, mate, but we can have a chin wag. Usual time. Clean it. G'day, Paul. What's happening, my friend? Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. Okay, let's go. Ah, Sigismundo. All right, let's airbrush a little bit of white, maybe. Yeah, I think so. I think we'll just do a smidge of airbrushing. Alrighty then. Let's now let's use some contrast paints and add a little bit of interesting color into these, I think. Wow, my Agaros Dunes is under the pump. Still good, still good. And oh yeah, bit of Thanos. Yeah, I can see that. This guy's a priest of I don't know, someone else might be able to remind me of his uh, deity that he worships, but yeah, he's not like a Indomine priest or type of priest. He's a get out there and smash some shit with his hammer priest. Yeah, priest is high on my list. At the moment, I think I'm going to play Warden. Uh, will be my go-to. So all I'm trying to do with this little layer of greeny browny color is just again reiterate the fact that this figure is in a forest, and so the white is reflecting a lot of the environment around it. Yeah, I think the Warden and the Witch will be a fun pair because I'm going to play a solo campaign. So I'll be playing 4 characters. Um, 2 of them will be the Warden and the Witch. This guy's got very stubby little feet. I've never noticed that before. Where are your feet, buddy? I'm trying to make sure I treat every single model um, as if they're in this Deepwood environment, because I feel like the environment plays a big part in the story. As I understand, as I said, I don't know anything about the story, so but I want to try and make it feel like the environment is a part of these models. So doing lots of wear and tear uh, feels appropriate and ties in well with my style of painting, which is always nice. Important one. Let's just make sure this is still coming out. Thank you. We should integrate a little bit of gold into this guy. Probably feels appropriate. Leave that for a smidge. Cool. All right. It's gonna hair dry up. Oh. Cool. All right. So let's do a little tweaking and paint the face. Do 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 bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. And the hands. Which I think this, I just wanted to do a little fix up of. I've been treated by you since I don't know when. I don't know why. Here I go again. Mama, how can I resist you? Yes, I've been broken hearted. Ooh, since the day we started. Mama, I don't know where to go. I'm being very boring tonight, friends. I'm concentrating on my little toy soldier painting, trying to make sure I'm doing a good job. I don't normally do a bad job, but sometimes I get distracted and I think about other things and then I find myself off in fairyland. So this time, just trying to stay focused. There's a fire within my soul, and suddenly lose control. One more look and I can hear a bell ring. One more look and I can feel everything. Oh, mamma mia. Here I go again. My, my. Why am I singing that song? I really have no idea, friends. All right. If these aren't the most difficult eyes to paint on any Oathsworn figure, I do not know what is. Gonna cheat on these ones, friends, and just go for the white dot. Nope. That is one of the most hard to get to eyes. I reckon I've ever painted. Alright. Now we'll just make everything look a little bit more correct. What we're doing here is we're adding contrast by putting in some edge highlighting. You can barely see what I'm doing right now. All right. G'day, Mittens. What's happening? I'm going to put my camera on just so I can say hello to you. Yeah, get into painting. Get into it, Jan. No rest for the wicked, mate. Or for the baby, I guess. No rest for the baby. Not sure what that little dobbo is, but I think we'll paint it like it's a metal object of some description. Yeah, I think we'll do some gold on this chap. That will be fun. Haven't painted any gold yet. Always believe in your gold. Now that you're bound to return, something you should learn. You're indestructible. Always believe in gold. Oh, what a bargain. Okay, let's go. All right. Cool. Well, we'll just do these bits here. This. And I think we can put his bits back on. Cool. Mm, mm. G'day, Marzipan. It's a pretty broad question. The brushes that I used for a long, long time were these ones, a Winsor & Newton Series 7. However, recently their quality control went downhill a bit. So I tried to find a replacement and I stumbled into these Raphael 8404. And they're pretty good. They're what I use most of the time now. And those are pretty much the only two brushes I've ever had much success with. Paints, yeah, I have a wide variety of paints here. I use all sorts of different brands. Probably my favorite are Chimera colors, which are like an artist color. AK third generation, which are hobby color. Vallejo are pretty much the best all rounder. And then then you'll see I use a lot of Citadel contrast paints as well. So the only ones of those I think that you absolutely can't do without, believe it or not, are the contrast paints. They're just a very good all-round useful tool. So those are the ones I strongly recommend. So let me grab out the Cur and the Exile, who are both finished without any armory painting yet. Yeah, so the reason I recommend contrast paints is for what I'm about to do now, which is it's just a time-saving exercise, right? You can grab yourself a color like this Cygor brown, which is a dark brown. You can just put it over an area pretty much not diluted, a little bit diluted maybe, over something like this. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to think about it anymore. That'll dry and look pretty cool. G'day, 35 old brush. What's happening, Ivan? Everyone should go follow Ivan on Instagram. One of the best painters out there, up and coming. Does YouTubes as well. Fantastic dude. Post all your links and stuff in the chat, mate, so everyone can know where to find you. He's awesome, friends. Okay, so let's do this rock face. Well, you can use contrast paints in a couple of different ways. I advocate using them like a wash in certain circumstances. They were initially pitched as a one stop solution where you just use them straight over the top of white and that was it. You didn't do anything else. And I think that that is not a great use of them. It is a use, but in my experience, they're really really good at adding intensity of color. So you'll see me use them as glazes a lot to really punch up some color into things, like make the colors more powerful. Like that a lot. And then another use for them is through an airbrush. You're a legend. And if you don't have an airbrush, that's okay, because you can basically replicate the effect of the airbrush with a contrast paint just with a brush. And I also use them as a wash, as sort of what most painters would consider a traditional wash on occasion as well. I don't use them a lot like that as a wash. I use them more as a filter. So if you've ever played around in Photoshop or Microsoft Paint, imagine doing a fill with a 25-30% opacity over a color area. That's what you can do with contrast paints. And it mutes the color, it changes the color, it softens the color. Does a lot of really cool things. So they're actually a fantastic product. And I wholeheartedly recommend them. What does the rock say? Yeah, contrast. Mate, my stuff is too contrasted. It's absolutely a fact, but get in. Guarantee you my models will stand out on a table. Yeah, another good use there, Jan. They're a versatile product that GW marketed in a really bad way early on. So might do for my rock. Cool. Okay, let's go. Let's paint some leathery bits. Let's flick that off. Yeah, which Rhino Roger did you do? Yeah, you're a champion, mate. Anytime. This guy has many leather-bound books. His apartment smells of rich mahogany. Ah, yeah, she's nice. Fun. Baxter! Glad we have some men of distinction, men, women, or other of distinction in the chat. Yeah, Paul, he's unreal. G'day, Jared. Definitely yeah, check out his YouTube. Doing some good tutorials. Basically the same age as me. I'm turned 39 this year. Thanks, Jared. 83. Well, I don't feel that way some days. Feel old. Mittens is young. G'day, Pirate Jacko 1. What's happening, champion? It's not Assassin's Creed, no, Pirate Jack. It's from a board game coming out very shortly, actually, called Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. And this champion's actually like a priest from that game. So thank you, mate. Yeah, well, since you've just joined, I might show you a couple of the other figures that I've done. We'll just put this down for a second. So here's my face, everyone. Yeah, so I'm doing these models for the game. So this is the Exile, who is the barbarian. So again, as I was saying, I want to really sort of integrate the feel of the story and how dirty and messy everything is. So that's him. And then this is the Cur, the assassin. It's pretty great. Oh, I do indeed, Pirate Jack. I do indeed. The last diorama's behind my head. It's just over there. Yes, so here's one I've been painting in the last couple of things. Pirate Jack. Very attractive female bust. She's pretty good. Yeah. Good fun. Thanks, mate. Yeah, the last diorama was a lot of fun. I've got another one planned soon, actually. Another big diorama. When I finish painting the models from this game, we're probably going to get into a diorama of vampires from Karel Rubik. Should be very fun. I'm Australian, my friend. I am an Aussie, born and bred in Australia. And I'm about to be joined by another Aussie. G'day, Bucks.
Hi, mate. I'm just eating an ice cream and then I'll be good to go.
Ah, yes, we are very good friends of India. Um, Please yourself, Bucks. Join when you're ready, mate.
No problem, pal.
Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. So the next paint we'll be doing will be the Ranger. I think I'm going to do her off stream, but not off camera. I'll be filming it. But I don't think I'll be streaming her because I think we might paint the War Bear next on stream on Wednesday night is my next stream. Unless my mate Koki wants to come over and play some Imperium, in which case we'll probably play Imperium on stream. G'day, Sleepy Slang. What's happening, champion? Indeed. Well done, mate. Good. Inclusive comment. I appreciate you. And everyone else. Yes, no, I'm using this footage, mate, to make some videos, so I've turned my face off so that I can just have a full screen of this. But I am here.
Hello, pal.
G'day, mate. What's going on, Buxo?
No, mate. Not much, mate. I'm sipping down a tea. I'm on the solo duty this week. Yaya's up at Mildura
Oh, Mildura.
for the work, so
Beautiful.
it's a nice little sculpt, this one.
Oh, yeah, it's a banger. It's probably
That's
up
fine
there.
with me.
Yeah,
No,
it's
I've seen it.
probably up there. Actually.
How about yourself, mate? How's your week been so far? It's only just started, but
It was a better start than last week. Didn't have a great week last week in terms of my real job, but
yeah,
no, this week started much better.
beautiful. Hey, chat. How are you? Hey, Paul.
You finished with the Eldar yet, mate, or what are you?
I haven't finished the Eldar yet, because the True Love has been blazing strong lately.
The Eldar Avatar? You're gonna paint the Avatar?
I will paint the Avatar, but right now I'm on my second bust within a week. So
Oh,
I finished the Priest, and now I'm moving on. I'm about just over a third of the way down on Chicken Quest.
Chicken Quest. What a cool fucking figure. Absolute cracker.
And I'm trialing a set of colors. I don't know if it's a trial. I mean, it probably is, because I'm obviously a pretty strong advocate for variations of magenta and blue, but I've never painted a full model with those two colors, just those. So
Yep.
I'm working on a color scheme on that, and it's proving to be one of the hardest color schemes I've balanced yet. But I'm enjoying it so far.
Yep, I could see how that would be a challenge, magenta and blue.
Would you like to have a look?
Sure. Probably not going to put it on stream because I'm using this footage, but
Yeah.
send me a picture and then just pop a link in the chat actually so everyone can see what you're talking about.
Sure thing. I'll load it into Discord first, and then I shall. Hey, Match Fixer. Hey, Jared. How are you? All right. Let me get some links up for everyone. So we're sort of treating this one, I guess, as a bit of an experimentation, but also just pushing down that path of painting that we really enjoy.
Yep.
Work stream.
So I don't know if you saw this. Umbrella Academy season 3 trailer dropped a couple of days
I
ago.
did watch the trailer, and it sort of kind of like reinvigorated me a little bit. I fell off probably 3/4 of the way through season 2.
Oh man, no, I was jazzed. Season 2 I thought was better than season 1. The finish was strong.
I find Ellen, is it Ellen Page? Is that her name?
Yep.
It's changed now, isn't it? Eli Page, I
Yep.
believe.
Yep.
I find him to be just dull. I can't tell.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Segismundo, this is about 45 mil, mate. So it's a little bit bigger than a normal G-Dub figure, just a tiny bit.
Alrighty, here's some links.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Talk to me, friendio.
gonna have to start calling you Ruben Martinez. The Spanish style is strong within you.
It's growing in me strong, isn't it?
Yeah, I enjoy that a lot, mate.
Which is all right. Segus, I'm not Spanish and also I don't really have style. um, cheers, Paul. It's been a really challenging set of colours to paint. And balancing these colours has been really a wild ride so far. As if you delve too deep into oversaturation,
then people start calling you Trent Denison.
Yeah, and if you delve too far into desaturation, then it just doesn't look right. So
no, I find that to be quite appealing, my friend.
thank you. It's inspired by sort of a combination of looking. I've been sort of studying pretty closely David Aroba's work and also Rodrigo.
Rodrigo Cipres.
Yeah, Mr. Corey himself. I just love the way that he paints,
Mm-hmm.
in particular. So, and the idea that you do it all with, really controlled, sharp brushstrokes rather than any form of blending or wet paint. So the paint's quite thick when you use it. I'm sure you know all of this, obviously, but for the chat.
Did you watch his Miniature Mentor videos?
I did. I watched those probably 6 months ago now. And they've never left me, that one. That's one of the ones that's sort of stuck in my brain. Partly because old mate had the biggest froth under the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. Forget the swirl. Forget Carol's stipple glazing. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. Thank you, Rough Turtle. I appreciate that, mate.
Rough Turtle. Is this the same Rough Turtle from the Dirty Paint Water Society? I feel like it might be. I got a little bit of a thought rattling around in my brain, mate.
You got a little thought rattling around in your brain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you reckon you're going to have enough time to maybe do one more? Surely you'll have enough time to do one more or two more pieces before
QMHE.
Queensland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Let's do a historical binge.
Yeah, I've got to paint a historical for it. I've got my goals. I've got the goals for it. But yeah, I'd like to do one more historical.
Shall we go full traditional historical?
You can do whatever you want, mate.
He's not falling for it, chat. He knows what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking true metal, and he won't take it.
I'm doing true metals on these, mate. So
I know you have.
speaking of, I'm about to crack out some colour right now. Some true metals.
It is the same Rough Turtle. I thought it was. Hello, Rough Turtle. How are you?
Breaking your airbrush is an integral part of learning how to use your airbrush.
Mm. Do you have a wasteland of airbrushes somewhere tucked away? Don't know. I've got about 3, I think, that are just cooked.
I've cracked through about 5, I reckon.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the priest in the game. He is goes out there and tries to cleanse the world with the power of the mighty hammer, the hammer sandwich. I love him.
Yeah. And it looks like he doesn't mind having a bit of a read either. He's got a book strapped to his chest.
Yeah, he's a legend. No, I like this character.
He's got all the classic priest motifs. I love it.
Yeah. Yep. Gonna crack the shit out of some people. Alright. So we definitely want to do chainmail. Definitely. I wonder if we should do some golden shoulder pads and braces. What do you think about that idea, Bucks?
Golden shoulder pads and braces.
Mm.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to lean away from that. I like the silver.
Yep.
He's cold. I like that leaning into the everything quite dark and dull on him. I like it.
Yep.
In regards to the metals, to contrast with the stone and the white.
All right, cool. I like it. We'll save gold for one of the later dudes.
Yeah, is there someone who's a little more, maybe a little more ornate or?
Allow me to introduce you to the Blade himself. The duelist, wearing golden armor.
Yeah, he's definitely it. You got a question there from Turtle as well, mate.
Turtle, if you wanted honest, no punches pulled feedback on a work in progress, where would you post it? Well, look, mate, normally on this stream is a fine place to come. So post a picture. I won't be bringing it up on the screen today as I'm doing this for some footage, but I'm happy to chat about it whilst I continue painting, and you'll also have the advantage of getting Bucks's feedback then as well. Alternatively, yeah, just pop it in the dirty paint water in and tag me. Be like, hey, Deno, come at me. And most of the time, I will come at you. G'day, Robbie's Hobbies. What's going on? Mate, the tie's on. The tie is on. Even though I'm not even on camera, I got it on. It's Party Monday, son.
Where did you post it, mate? Did you post it into DPIS? Yep. Cool. I got it here. Did you want to put a link to it in the chat as well, pal, just so the rest of the stream can have a look too, know what we're talking about? Awesome.
And so Deno can keep painting and click on a link there. Stand by. Why don't you kick us off, Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, what is there a specific thing you want feedback in, or is it general feedback, or because general feedback's a little bit, it can be a little bit interfering if it's mid project, whereas if you have a specific area you'd like highlighted that you're working on or it works further than the rest of it, then we can focus in on that. Hey, Wes, by the way, why does it look bland overall? Uh, you haven't taken certain areas up high enough in value or low enough in shadow. Um, Everything right now is sitting at the same levels, which is giving it a bit of a bland feel.
Here's a great tip. All right, great tip. With your photo, go onto your phone and turn it into a grayscale version of your figure. That will give you a very clear understanding of what we call the term value. So value can also be called light, can also be called some other stuff. It's escaping me at the moment. Luminance.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of swanky names, but ultimately what we're talking about is the depth of your shadows and the height of your light.
Spot on. Yeah. So don't contrast is correct, right? But it's important that you distinguish between value contrast and other forms of contrast, because contrast is not just value, but in most cases when people talk about contrast, that is what they're talking about. But yeah, you have a distinct lack of value contrast, and when you look at it in grayscale, you will see that pretty evidently, because everything will look washed out and muted and the same sort of colors, same sort of light and dark. So as Bucks said, that is your first step, is you need to create more value contrast, which is what will create firstly more visual interest, and yeah, make your colors feel a little bit more alive. There's a few other
Yeah, where do you want to go next with it?
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. You've grayscaled it, and you can see that almost everything sits in the exact same sort of 3 ticks of value, maybe 4. We have no truly dark shadows. We have no truly lights. We're just all in the middle.
Yeah, to not get too deep into it, but Ivan's talking there about some of the other types of contrast, which is really, really, it's an interesting conversation, because there is lots of types of contrast you can have, and when you hear the word contrast, it's always it's always value contrast most people talk about, but you can actually make a lot of impact on your piece by tweaking some of the other levels of contrast. But yeah, value contrast, value.
And Wes raised a good point here as well, that as you start to complete areas, you'll start to see some of those things change. Often in whip photos, you'll find that stuff all looks a little bit samey because you're at various stages of completion across the model. So
yeah, I find it's very hard to give an accurate piece of feedback on a figure when areas of the figure are completed and other areas aren't, because it actually makes such a huge difference when you're looking at a piece, the other areas around it, not just one specific area. It always blows my mind how guys like Ben Comets will paint a piece and they will paint section at a time, and then at the end you look at it and you're just like, how did you make that all look good, Ben? You're a fucking legend. I have to see pieces together, working together, against other areas, because if I don't see those, I feel like I can't tell how the figure's going to come out overall. How do you go, Bucks? Do you work independently or?
No, I don't know. I'm similar to yourself. I bounce around. Sometimes I do take certain areas up to completion before I move on to others.
But you'll complete them, but then you'll be like, oh, you'll do a little bit, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, I might just go back and tweak
I
that.
will definitely go back at least 2 or 3 times to keep harmonizing everything
Yep.
as I go.
Yep.
Because I will. I don't have like I'm not Ben Commons, and um I don't have that mastery.
Yeah.
And so I will need to refine multiple times. And that's what it comes down to. I think once you do hit a fairly high mastery level, you have such a good understanding of concept that you can sort of do a piece, finish it, do an area, finish it, do an area, finish it, and it all just ties together really well because you're doing the same thing every time. I guess the other thing as well is we're pretty emotional painters and quite sporadic too. So
That's a good observation, mate. I paint very much by feel and
yeah,
how things are looking, and whereas Ben, yeah, I think he does just go, this is what I want it to look like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually Turtles. That's something I've often thought, not just about Ben, but about many really, really talented artists, and not just miniature painting artists, but all. Is that do they have like this defined image in their head of the way they want something to look, or does it just grow as you take the journey with the piece? Because for me, it just grows as I take the journey. Like I don't really have an idea of where it's going until like maybe the first hour down or hour and a half down into the model. I start to get a feel for things. And Trent's probably similar in a way. I think he might have a bit more of an idea. He's pretty experienced, but
I'm make it all up, man. Like the whole time,
yeah,
just make that shit up and hope it comes out good.
I like, and I think you do this as well, mate. I like to put a heap of colours nowadays into my airbrushing, sort of pre-painting, sort of pre-shading, call it zenithioing or whatever you want. It kind of comes after zenithial, but the same principle applies. I like to put a ton of different colours in and just let those colours sort of integrate with each other. And now the reality is a lot of those colours will never be visible at the end, but it just allows me to get a bit of a feel for the piece and where I might want to take it. I might see 2 colours sort of interacting with each other in a way that inspires me to want to push and utilize that sort of area. That's what I've done recently with my with the priests that I just painted. Not so much with this one. This one's been a pretty clear cut one, but that's something I've utilized in the past.
So to bring it back to your feedback, champion, the other element that you need to tweak, which is something I talk to Ben and Bunny and a lot of painters all the time, is saturation. So the two levers of miniature painting, in my opinion, are value and saturation. And when you get either of those correct, those are all. The first one was a normal paint, Sleepy Slang. It was just a orange. The other two have been contrast paints. Yeah, when you can understand and control those two elements, being value and saturation, you're pretty much on your way to being a good miniature painter. I'll let you know when I get good at one of them. But yeah, so value being what we talked about there, which is how intense, and luminance is another one of those terms that's used to describe it. And then the other one is how intense a color is. And I think the hardest lesson to learn is that those two elements, value and saturation, are actually linked in a really negative way. So if you use a light color to increase your value, what you're actually going to do is lessen the intensity of the color. That is a byproduct of using a thing is you're actually desaturating the color. Like if you just mix in white into a red, right? Just a simple experiment, mix white in with a red. all that happens is your red gets pinky and washed out. That's just everyone knows that's going to happen. But if we don't add white to the red, then how does the red have enough value? Again, when I figure it out, I'll let you know. But
it's what makes red very specifically a challenging color.
correct. So there is a lot to that question about how do I make something not look washed out. It is a pretty elaborate question, but there is a quick solution, which is add more value, and then I like to use contrast paints over the top. Contrast paints are a cheeky, easy, quick way to add saturation. That's just, yeah.
And I think through just bulk painting, you start to just get a feel for where you want to put that value, and it sort of occurs sort of similar on each piece. Would you agree to that, Deno? For the most part.
Yep. I mean, my experience with value and focal points, I talk about it a fair bit on here, is you really want to have a clear area where people's gaze is drawn to, and that'll be the highest value area on the figure. Now, using this priest as an example, if you were to do a grayscale version of this right now, you're going to see, and you can already see it right on just looking at the screen right now, this is the highest value area right here. This is where I want people looking. Everything that comes out after this is not.
Well, you've already chose your secondary as well, which is the book on the chest is slightly brighter than the other pads, like the other brown elements.
Yep.
So that's sort of like tracking down, which is a pretty classic sort of move for miniature painting, is to like lead the eye to places that you want it to be.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly, Marzipan. So I talked about it a little bit earlier in the stream. Just imagine you're in Photoshop and you go and grab yourself a fill layer, and then you put it at 30% opacity, and you just fill it all over the whole piece. What you are doing with a contrast paint, and the way that I like to use them, is actually doing a fill over the whole area, and that will change up how all of those colors look, because you're adding those extra layers of intense color over the top. So super fun way to paint, because it's easy. Of course, Sleepy Slang. Of course, mate. Normally I do feedback on screen, as I'm sure many of you know, but because of this paint job, that is absolutely spot on, mate. It will indeed help the colours just soften and blend together a little bit.
Bind them all together really nicely.
Yep.
Alrighty. I love a little Infinity stuff. I am partial to it. It's been a little while.
I haven't looked at it yet, Buck, so you kick us off.
Yeah, sure. First off, what faction is it?
Ivan, I won't unfortunately make it to World Model Expo. No, bit too far for me to travel, mate. Maybe next year I'll be at a Scale Model Challenge. That's the plan, but yeah, everything's still a bit too volatile for me right now.
I can't wait to see what comes out of Model Expo.
It's going to be a belter, mate. It's going to be an absolute belter.
We might have to do a Monday night on it, eh?
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Do a little bit of coverage from the other side of the world. 2 days late. All right. So feedback for this. This is specifically for you, non-metal metallic, because it's what you've been working on. I have a personal preference with non-metal metallic that I like to see lots of texture in the non-metal metallic, and I like to see that used to travel up and down your value. So that's the first thing that I could see that you're starting to apply some texture into it, which is good. It really helps sell the effect, and it's a quicker method than slowly blending through all of your colors.
Marzipan, we usually have model expo at a different time of the year. Scale Model Challenge and Monty normally run within 3 weeks of each other. So that's what I like to do, is go to both. I like a lot of things about this. Like, I really like those little green orby things. I think they're done really well.
Yeah, it's really not far off.
Yeah, particularly like the thighs, like the way that you've done the light on the thighs is really, really spot on. The head plate as well, like the actual lighting on the head, on the metal bit on the head, spot on.
Yeah, it's just the little bits, isn't it? It's
Yep.
like the little well, I'm just going to call them rectangles and squares because that's basically all they are.
Yep.
And it's a good language to speak in when talking about non-metal metallic, because it's the best way to paint it is to just try and do your best to break each individual component down into a shape. Or I've found that to be very beneficial.
No, I agree.
Yeah, the more I look at it, there's some areas that are really selling it well, and there are some areas that are not.
The two areas that suck, in my opinion, is the left forearm, which is holding up the gun.
Yeah, and the right one. I don't think the right one.
The right one's less of a focal point, but the second piece is the chest plate. The actual chest. So that whole thing, right? You know how you've gone that edge highlighting there. That whole thing should be light, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a flat panel. It should all be light.
And look at, go like above, like the like where that abdominal plate is, the large one just above the green orb, right? They're perfect. They look great, I think. What do you think?
Yep.
Those two there are like bang on. Like that is reading as a grey non-metal metal.
Yep.
But you lose it on those abdominal, like the actual ab plates, like the 6 plates there. Or you've kind of got it on one and lose it on 5, and then you lose it with those 2 big edge highlights that run straight down.
It's tricky. Very, very tricky. There is lots of panels, and one of the most common mistakes I see people make, sorry, as I hair dry. They get too deep into doing panels, and they forget that the whole thing is one big object of metal.
Yeah.
So the whole object is all metal, and the light is hitting it all at the same time. And for a viewer, your eye will read it as one big object kind of first, before you'll see those little elements. And I think that's just a little thing people get wrong, is they don't pay enough attention to the whole object. And again, it's focal points. It's take a specific area and go, cool, this is where the light is hitting strongest. That's it.
You know, I think that happens because part of like going from beginner to intermediate non-metal metallic is the idea that you break things down into shapes. And then what you find happening is you kind of get you get it right a couple of times, you're like, oh, cool. And then you start breaking everything down too much, and you start painting everything as its individual component. And then that's when exactly what you're talking about happens, where then you've now got, it's disjointed, right? And it's separated. And I think that's the step from sort of intermediate to more advanced non-metal metallic is where you do start to feel like you can visually, imagine the thing as one area and then start to apply along.
But as Buck said, man, you're so close to having a breakthrough.
Yeah, super close.
It's just got to keep the grind happening, my man. Keep chipping away. You'll get there. Maybe you won't. Rosspool, we would love to provide you with some feedback as well, my friend.
Yeah, please just keep sending them on in. It's easy enough for us to do. No, are you sleeping? Did that help, mate? Is that have you walked away like, okay, there's some areas I can work on? Because it's all for nothing if that isn't the case. We do like to have a little gibber every now and again, so
Indeed.
oh yeah, culprits.
Gibberer specialists.
Yeah. I'm liking everything about this model you're painting right now, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm liking everything about it. For a gaming piece, this is like a nice little. If I was lining up on the other side of the table, I'd be excited to play this character.
I'm glad to know that. It is
Excellent. Awesome, Sleepy.
what we strive for.
All right, Ross. Let's have a look. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's a cool bus too. Yeah, what would you like, mate? Is there anything in particular would you like us to highlight over? I mean, if we break it down, we've got non-metal metallic, leather, skin, and fur. So, what do you like about it? And then what are you wondering could be better, or what would you like to get some feedback in? Just in general.
Are you familiar with the rules of feedback, Rosspool?
That's a good question. I'm going to let you elaborate as my head's down for the moment.
Specifically, the rules of feedback in my stream. Are you familiar with those rules? All right, the rules of feedback are you get absolutely hammered, and that is it. You do not get to argue, you do not get to explain. You just have to cop it on the chin. Now, I say this with all love and respect.
With open arms.
Because this is the absolute truth about miniature painting and art and creativity and life in general, is unless you get genuine, accurate, truthful feedback, you see a rough turtle, you will not improve. So, based on what I deem to be your skill level, I am going to be quite ruthless on you. Get ready.
Strap on the belt. Where do you want to start?
All right, let's start with the leather. The leather is shit
Yeah.
house. All right, it is scratchy for the sake of being scratchy without an intent. Right? Leather has a reason for why it distresses and has shapes and those textures and scratches. And if you have a look at both of the lengths of buckle, right, it looks like they're twisting sideways. They don't twist like that. It just doesn't happen, right? So you need to be more considered with your brush strokes on the leather. Secondly, you need to change the value of the leather such that it stands out from the skin. Because at the moment, when I see those two elements side by side, they look like exactly the same value of a similar element, right? So you lose the separation of those two pieces. The bronze bit or the red bit in between the non-metallic metal looks trash. I don't know what that is, but that's no good. Get rid of it. Change it. Either make the whole thing metal and add some rust or some unique elements, or make that bit better. I don't know what it's supposed to be. It doesn't look like rust. It doesn't look like red paint. It doesn't look like bronze. It's just a
Yeah,
nothing.
is it supposed to be like a leather plate? So moving on from those sort of areas, because I'm in pretty strong agreement and received probably 6 months ago very similar feedback for leather. It's often a place that I think we get caught up with just being able to sort of cheat our way through with texture, but without direction and purpose, it really doesn't look like leather at all. An area that I'm really enjoying. I'm enjoying the textures on the chest, man. I love it. You know, really precise, controlled strikes. It looks good. Um, Shows that you've got pretty good brush control. Um, it probably needs to potentially go up a little bit brighter, or actually probably not brighter. It actually just needs to have some darker areas toward the bottom, which you've already started to do. I could probably push that a little bit further. So that's an area I like. What's your feelings about the fur right now? It's
Yeah,
challenging fur.
yeah. So the skin, I agree with Bucks, is the strongest part of the piece. So well done. Still room for improvement, particularly around the face and that darker area. I like the intent. I don't know that I like the execution as well. But we might come back to that. Yeah, the fur is a weaker area.
Yeah.
And it's always hard with hair in general to create that sense of separation.
Yeah, you've got to
Enough.
cheat. You've got to cheat
Yeah.
it in. You've got to kind of just create it.
Yeah. So I mean, it reads as hair, right? So you've done a good job there, but it doesn't read as hair that uh, would pop off. And a lot of the time when I'm providing feedback, right, I'm talking about, well, I want your model to pop. Like I want people to look at it and go, oh wow, that looks awesome. Um, and for me, that fur, it doesn't actually help this face pop out, but it doesn't as fur pop out itself, right? So it's a nothing element that's not contributing to what you're trying to do with the piece. You you either make it a dark color and then all of a sudden the face pops out because it's got this dark frame around it and the skin looks even brighter, or you make it really bright and then you feed it into the face. You're sort of halfway between those two at the moment. The non-metallic metal's solid. I like the strokes. I like the placement of the light. I'd like to see more environmental color in it of some description, but overall,
Yeah.
it's a reasonable effort.
Well,
Um,
and it's just you've got like the only other thing is that you've created the line of sheen, but it's brighter on the curving upper part of metal, but then it doesn't look like it's matching on the next ribbon or the next band and then the lower band. They would all have to sort of be the same brightness, right?
yeah,
I mean that's nitpicking, but if we're going all in for good solid feedback, it's less about just saying hey put that there and more about have a think about that when you're laying out your sheens.
bounce light, my man.
Yeah, bounce light. There you go. You can have either way. I'd love to know your thoughts behind choosing to go for a, a blacker sort of area around the eyes, nose, and top lip for the face. Um, what have you got for me there, Ross?
Good reason. Try something new. Good
Try
reason.
something new is always a great reason. I I find that it being inverted is like so your depth in the areas that would normally be light, and then light in the areas that would normally be dark,
See you,
and
Ivan.
then and then being dark in those normal areas as well is creating heaps of visual noise. And like my eyes find it hard to focus in on
Ciao.
anything but the eyes, which is not a bad thing. Drawing a focus strongly to the eyes, but like I can't see his nasal area very well. The bridge of his brows sort of match the bridge of his top lip, or the top of his top lip.
It's yeah. I sort of am a little contrary to you here. I quite like what it's trying to achieve. You know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like it's quite nailing it. But it's really close. You know. And I think it's because you needed to go darker and lighter in the two extremes. You need to create that contrast again. So all that's happening at the moment is it just looks the same overall value to the rest of the skin. What you want is a dark area that's really dark, and then a light area that's really light, so that those areas are popping and really stand out from everywhere else. So I would have taken the skin texture around that nose area right up, and I would have taken the black in between those two areas darker.
Well, that would have helped define the features, right?
Yeah. It does.
So we've done fur, skin, non-metal metallic, and leathers. Yeah, is there anything else you're really seeing or feeling?
We've been a bit harsh.
We've been really strong, but it's purely and utterly in an endeavor to help you get better. Like you're pretty close, man. You're clearly on your way.
Yeah.
And I for someone who was not too far away from this, not too far back, it's the harsh criticisms, the strong criticisms that are the ones that really get you to, think about things differently and challenge you. So hopefully it helps.
Yep. When I was learning to play War Machine, I used to play against this dude who was the best player in Australia. And I used to get flogged every week. And I did that for about 3 months. And when I first beat him, it is marzipan, yes, it's a matte varnish. Fuck, it was satisfying. And fuck, I felt like I'd achieved something. And it wasn't... It is rough turtle, yes, varnishing everything. I'll explain why in a second. And when I then beat him, I was like, "Fuck you, man! I'm fucking so much better than you now." And I don't think I don't think I lost to him for probably another 12, 13 games. But it's that ability to run your face into a wall over and over again, and learn the mistakes, like learn from those mistakes. That's what will help you be a better painter. Yes. In answer to your question, I did varnish my metals as well. I've talked about this once or twice before on the stream, but metals, much like everything else, is about creating contrast. One of the contrasts you can create on metals is a contrast between a matte finish and the shiny finish. So I believe when you are painting metals, there should be a clear varnished or matte area in the shadows, because that will help make the other areas pop up even more.
It's a strongly contested preference that we see come up at Crimson Brush every year, isn't it, mate?
Well, given that I'm the judge, I don't really care what other people's preferences are, mate. Could not give two shits.
What is it? Don't turn up with gloss in your shadows.
No. Look, I'm not against it, right? But much like everything, there needs to be a reason. You know, if you have glossy shadows, it needs to work. You need to understand why you have glossy shadows.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were probably pretty strong there, Ross, but yeah, nothing like a good beating to wake up.
Ross,
you don't need a beating, pal. Like you like we said, you're doing pretty well, man. You're just yeah.
The reason we beat you, mate, is because you know that the model's good. You don't need people to tell you, hey man, you're a fucking awesome painter. You don't need people to tell you that. What you need is people to tell you, this is why you shit house. That is the most valuable piece of feedback and information you will get. Trust me.
Been a while since we've let rip, eh?
Yeah. Well, I try to cater that to the audience, right? I try not to go full ham on someone who is
day 20 into miniature painting.
Congratulations, you've just learned how to hold a fucking brush. Yeah. Why the fuck haven't you got value contrast? Yeah, fuck wit. You know, like it's there's time and a place. I like these little leaves, I think they look really good.
I do too. I like the way you've done the base too. That sort of mossy cobblestone.
Yup. Hey, have you tried those Model Mates paints? You got any of those?
Model Mates?
Yeah, you ever heard of them?
What are they? Where are they?
Might have to
look into it.
Might have to try some. Yeah, they're I've seen a lot of painters talk about them. They do a rust, they do a moss, and I think they do a verdigris maybe.
Oh, I've heard of these. I might have their rust.
Yeah, okay. Is it good?
I did it once, didn't like it, but there's a great chance I didn't do it properly.
Scaraboss, that is not an inappropriate question, mate, assuming Ross is comfortable with that information.
Yeah, as long as Ross is okay.
Yep, that's the ones. I'll take that to mean you're fine with us talking about it. Yeah, probably on the very bottom end of bronze. If it got over the line, it would have been close. Yeah, there's obviously technique there. There's obviously enough of an understanding of what's going on. Yeah, just for me, it's like sloppy execution in some areas that would let you down. G'day, Viv C. We would love to critique one more.
Absolutely. Why stop at one? If anyone else is keen, please chuck yourself in the ring and give it a look.
I certainly don't claim to be an expert. Well, that's not true. I do claim to be an expert on many things, but I don't think I am.
You're an expert on friendship, mate.
As a counterpoint to that, I'm not an expert on marriage. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go hit this with a full varnish. I think a spray varnish before I do the metals.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when the high value metal goes in because I think it's going to ping. I'm assuming that's what you're doing, right? You're going to be putting in some yeah. Cool.
Daz is playing this guy.
Is Dad Snake Eyes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Dad's the dude that like is pretty jacked?
Nah.
No? Okay.
No.
Who's that guy that like used to come like probably a year ago, man? Some specimen.
We had a couple. We had a couple come through. But Ryan Narotsky's the one I think you're thinking of. Fucking monster. Big unit. Alright, I'll be back.
He was at Kegron, right?
Yeah.
He was a fucking monster. Alright, Viv, let's take a look. Hey. Same question to you. Is there a specific area that you would like feedback in? Again, with sort of skin, hair, fur, non-metal metallic.
I use two varnishes, marzipan. Not always. I do a lot of airbrush varnish, but I don't find that is really solid. This stuff is enamel paint, enamel varnish, so it tends to be a lot more secure. Let me click on this link.
I'm going. It's your first bus. I bought it before I found the rest of the world of display minis. I guess mostly the metal, in particular the gold. I think is a bit too yellow. The fur and the hair would be good too. I was immediately looking at the fur and the head, and this is the first bust you've painted. Have you painted anything large scale, Viv? Have you painted like 75 mil, 54 mil, stuff like that?
And Viv, did you catch the rules of feedback?
Yeah, I did catch the rules of feedback before. So if he's 3D printed 75 mils, but I didn't quite get value contrast right until this model. Yeah. So the reason why I ask is because you clearly have a background in miniature painting, and it's showing through a lot on this model. It looks like you're adjusting to size on this, which is obviously pretty common the first time you sort of paint something large scale in the bust format. Are you getting that too, Deno? It very much looks like a miniature.
Yeah, not so much.
Am I not doing myself? Am I not explaining myself well enough here? Maybe I'm not explaining.
Not so much.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a pretty decent transition from mini painting to that.
No, yeah, I was not as a negative. It wasn't intended as a negative. More just I don't know. There's something about it that screams like making the transition to me. Anyway, we'll leave that thought and move on. For me, like I'll let Trent do non-metal metallic for this one because it's a full suit. I'm going to do fur. You haven't highlighted the fur with value. It's so you've gone to each individual strand, and then there's a darkest point between each piece of fur, and then a light point on each piece of fur. The way you've got to start thinking about fur for larger scale stuff, and especially fur like this, because this is not particularly great sculpted fur, you've got to kind of cheat this in yourself, and you've got to paint it as sort of chunks, if that makes sense. So rather than there being a sort of a strong depth and strong light between each, it should be like gradual, and then at the very height of where light would touch the fur light, and at the very depths of where the fur would be not catching light, so being shadow. I always find this to be a hard one to explain. So if you've got a better way of explaining it, Deno, go ahead. But
so you don't highlight strands. You don't start off with strands. Strands is the very last thing that you do if you do anything. The way that you highlight hair is you treat each area as a clump. So every section, if you go and have a look at a Pantene Pro V or a shampoo bottle advert, what you'll see is that the hair is all, it sort of looks like one volume. It's one big piece. It's not got lots of little strands. The only time you see those little strands is right at the end, right at the very, very end. So that's how you paint it. You treat the whole thing as a clump. Where's some hair that I've done?
And it doubles over as fur as well, right?
Yeah.
It's the same principle for both.
Yeah, because it's the same.
It's just that.
Yeah, it's the same thing as I said to Ross Pool. It's all one. Actually, no, it wasn't Ross Pool. It was just talking about non-metallic metal in general. It's all one element, even though it looks like lots of little individual planes and lots of little individual elements. It's all one element. And as soon as you click on that fact that, hey, fur is actually one big piece, not lots of little pieces, the way that you approach painting it changes. You stop going, I'm going to do little strands, and you start going, okay, I'm going to paint this whole chunk and then do some light reflecting off it. And then, yeah, so it's the one real standout area for me that is weak is the hair and the fur, both of those two elements, purely because of though the lighting doesn't feel consistent with the rest of the piece. I love the breastplate. Like it's awesome.
The breastplate's really cool.
Yeah, love the breastplate. I think the gold's actually really, really good. With the possible exception of the sword hilt, not as good.
The purple and teal that's bouncing in, well, it feels like purple and teal that's bouncing into the metals on the right side, on her right side, is really nice towards her, like her loins.
Yeah, love it. Love all the metal.
Yeah.
Love all the gold. I wanna probably be a bit critical on the skin, if only because all the other areas are really quite good. The skin feels like a missed opportunity to add some deeper colors, some darker reds or oranges, or because it's fine, but that's all it is. It's just fine, and I think it could be special. I also think you've possibly got the lighting slightly wrong on some of the volumes, specifically the forehead. With light, obviously there's that hair in the way, which is going to make it a shadow there. But I think you probably brought both of those shadows out a bit too far based on how the lighting looks on the rest of the piece. I think it could have just been slightly less aggressive there. But I would have gone more color, way more color in the skin. I would have added some of those purple colors that you've got bouncing around, some of the teals. Would have added some more deeper reds. Just think you could have made the skin really interesting, because in a way the non-metallic metals and the other bits are actually too clean.
This is what I meant earlier, right? With the painting style. It's with the non-metal metallic. All of the bounce lights are really sharp and precise.
Yeah.
And that reminds me very much of painting non-metal metallic on a miniature.
Yeah.
Where you paint smaller spaces.
Yeah.
And that's probably a better explanation as to what I meant earlier.
Yeah. Cool.
And it's why the breastplate looks so good, because they're expansive periods of parts of light.
Yeah.
That's reading so well. Whereas on all of the other elements, it's quite sharp and refined.
Yep.
So it's a personal preference thing. So for me, I do like to see their bounces a little larger. But both look great. So
Yeah, overall, I think your key is just paint some more. Just get in there
Yeah.
and paint some more. You don't need any real concrete. This area is fucked. This area is fucked. You just need to get in there and have a crack at practicing your clear technical ability there into some more stuff. And that's it. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, there's probably not too much more there for that particular piece.
Cool piece.
It is. It for whatever reason has reminded me of the piece that you have purchased off Eric Swinson.
Yeah.
Just the colors and the placement.
Yeah. I'm excited to get that. It's going to be a
I'm
while.
excited. I'm excited for you to get that because by proxy, chat, I get it too because he'll bring it. He'll bring it to Crimson Brush hopefully. Or actually, I'll just say that it's with him in August at scale model, and then I get to pour all over it for a 24-hour period as well.
If you wanna get a sense of what I'm talking about with hair and fur, there's a couple of really good pieces. Well, one there's a dude named Michal Shimenko, lovely man from Poland, and he painted a giant wolf, with a chick riding it. The figures of the last few years, in my opinion. Um, Highly recommend you track that down. Do you know the one I'm talking about, Bucks?
If I see it, I would know, but
It's
that's not an artist whose name I'm
it's
ultra familiar
the
with.
Limbo Miniatures
Limbo, yeah.
wolf. The key is looking at how other painters have painted the hair, and you'll stop seeing strands, and you'll start seeing volumes.
Yeah, if you have access to Kirill's FAQ book, he has a really the AK book has a really in-depth couple of pages on fur, and quite a fantastic little tutorial too.
Yes. Let me grab the link for you. Limbo Miniatures, the house.
Fuck my life, mate. Balancing these colors.
Yeah, I actually don't recommend
Oh, beautiful, man. Sorry, you
I,
go.
I was gonna say I don't recommend people read that book for a while. Like, just get it, have a flick through it, and then put it away
Yeah.
and don't touch it.
You can honestly, I agree, but that's for like the metallics and stuff like that. The fur page is really good, Viv. Go to that page. He does a really wonderful breakdown of it. He paints a Norseman's beard. He does I think it has back fur, like a pelt, and then he has a big beard. And he just lays it out really well. So
I saw that particular piece in the Flash Scale Model Challenge. No, look, it's so full on, and Kirill's a wonderful man. I don't know that he's uh, figured out that no one's as good as him. He just the way he explains stuff sometimes I'm just like, oh, Kirill, like, you can't just do that, man. Like, you just can't do it. How are you supposed to do it, Kirill? It's an awesome book. Like, I 10 out of 10 recommend it, but it's just full on, absolutely full on.
It's one of those books that finds its way into almost every display painter's collection, I think. Um, but the brave soul who has deciphered it, I think you've said this before on the chat, the first person to decipher that painting uh, could well be the next best painter in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Easily 100 plus steps. And his ability to dissect metal is on another level.
Yep.
And then paint it dissected, which is the key to it. He paints it dissected, and that's insane. Like, because for a large portion of that, he's creating that out of his fucking imagination, right? Like,
As soon as I saw the banner reflected in the shoulder, I was just like, nah, I'm out, mate. I'm out. Thank you.
No, I'll put that down.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, Kirill. I am done. So yeah, if you look at that model I linked in the chat, that's a fantastic example of how to paint fur, because it is all about clumps. It's all about clumps. He doesn't go down into individual strands really much at all. It's all about.
Well, when he does, like, here's the trick: is that when you do go down to individual strands, the color that you're putting down is actually so close to the next color underneath it that your eyes don't read it until you're up close, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like it's added detail. It's like this nice little treat you get when you get up close with it. So it reads from far away as fur, and then when you get close, you see all these beautiful intersecting strands that just look awesome, and that's the key to great fur.
Clumps.
Clump City.
Clump City,
Clump City
bitch.
with
Clump City,
Gen
bitch.
Sat. And my wife got me Banshee's book and a couple of scale books, I think, just as a nice little treat on over our wedding period. And I haven't been brave enough to really delve too deep into Banshee's book yet. I have to have a bit of a look. I pulled it out to have a look at today, and it never happened. So there's a few of those floating around. There's more and more. What Chris Surrey is trying to put one together right now, isn't he?
Yeah, it's on Kickstarter actually.
Yeah, I think they got backed. I'm gonna get that actually. That's a 3-part. There's 3 people doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, Chris and Senji.
Yeah, Senny, and who's the other one?
Tommy Sewell.
Yeah. I think he's just done. Has he just done an interview?
Interview with a painter.
With the artist.
With
Yeah,
Vince.
with Vinci. Yeah. I wonder if Vince will come back down again if AOS kicks off for CanCon.
Oh, I know he was keen to come down and just hang out in the painting room, but I doubt we'll.
Yeah.
I doubt we'll have enough pull for him just to come down. I might, but
What about DC? DC's got a bit of pull.
not as much pull as you think, mate. Unless you're talking about Space Marines, in which case he's the king of Space Marines.
He is the master of Space Marines, isn't he?
Yeah. G'day, Mole Man.
Hey, Mole Man. You legend. How are you?
Surprisingly, mate, I did not get asked to do a Horus Heresy Space Marine. I'm sure that comes as a shock to many of you, given my love of Space Marines. No, I don't hate Space Marines. I actually quite like the background and the story and the chapters and stuff. I just think they're just overdone. It's just fucking Space Marines everywhere.
You do see a lot of them.
G'day, Al. Thanks, mate.
But I reckon I'm going to paint a couple of Horus Heresy ones, mate.
Oh, good.
I really like the Contemptor. To be honest, I really like the way Andy and Henry paint armies, the Cult of Paint lads. It's inspiring stuff. So
I'll let him know you said that, mate.
yeah, let them know. Particularly Andy's Sons of Horus are really, really nice. And I'm a bit of a sucker for teal. And versions of it. But anyway, we've digressed into a Space Marine conversation.
I don't like that.
I know. It's not too late to pull the ripcord. Look at this guy. He's looking good. I want to paint this model.
Cool.
Here's my problem, mate, is that often in board games, there's 1 or 2 models I want to paint. And then there's about 40 that I don't want to paint. Now, Oathsworn's a little bit different because Oathsworn's got quite a lot of really nice miniatures in it.
Have you seen the behind the scenes ones?
I have not.
On the Kickstarter page, you scroll down, you'll see there is a section there which says there are also like 40 miniatures in a secret boxes.
You've seen them, haven't you?
Well, you can. Anyone can see them. Well, anyone can see most of them because they're all actually linked on that page.
Yeah.
Is there an upcoming Warhammer World Fantasy release? Is there?
There is.
What is it?
So Warhammer Old World will be coming out, which was announced 3 years ago now, and it was on a 5-year window.
Yeah.
At the time, and it's the return of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. However, it will be updated and some new feature armies coming. So we'll get Cathay and Kislev as full-blown forces.
Cathay Pacific, get in.
Yeah, I've spoken to you about it before. So the way they marketed it. The way they marketed it originally was that it was going to be, as to the Horus Heresy is to Warhammer 40,000, it would be the same to Age of Sigmar. And now we've got a good look at what Horus Heresy looks like. When it was the previous version of Horus Heresy, I think everyone was like, all right, so it's just going to be a Forge World game. All the models will be done through Forge World. There'll be rule sets potentially released in our local stores. And then, it'll be a sort of a niche thing.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward 3 years and Horus Heresy is this massive deal, right? Bodes really well, right, for a potential new Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
Yep. Cool.
I'm pretty excited for it personally. I think Warhammer Fantasy was probably my favorite game. And had some of my most favorite miniatures of all time in there. Exciting times.
I played a lot of Warhammer Fantasy. I played Warhammer Fantasy overseas at the World Team Championships for Warhammer.
You did. You could probably make a pretty easy argument that you're kind of a bit of a figurehead in Warhammer Fantasy in our country for a while.
I wouldn't go that far, but I was prominent.
Yeah, well, there you go. Prominent is enough. When I say figurehead, I mean just people who play the scene. You played at all the events, right?
Yeah.
There are certain names that I could just drop and you'd be instantly like, yeah, that's a Warhammer Fantasy player.
Yep. Probably a mate of mine. Probably travelled overseas with him.
Correct. So. Yeah, we've had chats about it before. The Vagabond crew for Victoria, and then you had Andrew Goodwin and all those guys. Anyway, regardless. It's safe to say, point being, that you're quite a fan of Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
I am. But I haven't been keeping abreast of all the new stuff happening in the game. So, so yeah, that's cool. Meepsy keeps trying to get me into the Song of Ice and Fire, and I just don't know that I've got the time, the energy, the effort to put into it. Uh, what am I trying to say? A strategy battle game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what you're saying is there's a way that you will play a game if you're going to play it.
Yeah.
And a game as expansive as strategy battle games, whether it's fantasy, Game of Thrones, War Machine or Guild Ball or whatever, you're going to play it at the nth degree, right? Because that's
how I do it.
Yeah. So, and it is a big commitment. But maybe for Warhammer Fantasy Old World, what it means is that you might get an opportunity to paint some of those miniatures that you've loved before that might come out in a new version or a reprint or whatever the case may be. You might just be able to interact with it the way that you
do now. Yeah. That's a good observation, Bucks. I hope that's the case.
Yeah, because I mean,
hey Cujo,
being closed off to stuff never helps, right? Like so many times people are like, no, I'm never doing that, never, not it. And then something comes out and they're like, oh man, I really like that, but I said I wouldn't do it, and it's like, well, now you're standing in the way of your fun.
I've certainly never said no. I've never said no. I've just said it seems like unlikely to me, but
yeah. Hey Cujo. Yeah, Jared, bring back the Bretonians. Definitely, man. Like
Bretonians.
How good is Bretonians? Like, mate, for me, bring back some Athel Laurent Wood Elves, please. Let's go. The Bretts or the Wood Elves? I mean, they're neighbours, right? They're buddies. Well, not really buddies. I mean, Bretonians go in the forest to get whipped. Unless they're blessed by the Lady in the Lake, so. Bring back Mantle or Cooge. You're so old. I'm just going to say it. I would suggest again reading the room on what they've done with Horus Heresy, Ralak. I would assume it would be an updated version of a potential rule set that's already existed. But I mean, you never say never with Games Workshop, man. They might write a whole new rule set for it.
Well, they just fucking released squats, mate. So never say never is probably the most applicable fucking thing you could say at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I would have put the house on the fact that squats would never come back in that fucking game.
Yeah. And I am definitely going to paint one or two of those, I'll tell you.
All right, I think we may just call this pretty much done. The priest. I might do a little tweaking.
Do you know what he needs?
What does he need?
A little splash of Deno Freehand on the end of those cloaks. Maybe something like a little blue line or red line.
Well, he's got fleur de lis. Yeah, we could do a little line. We could do a little line.
Can we do a little line and a little fleur, maybe?
Let's put a little fleur de lis here. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Brett's have definitely confirmed Sleepy. They were the first thing they showed, weren't they? It was the map of them, or was it the Kislevites first? They showed the bear and stuff, the bear riders and the wing stars. Yeah, we got the yeah. I thought it was yeah. The old map was first, which is pretty much a confirmation, right? Because it went from Bretonians not existing for Age of Sigmar um into showing that they are definitely there and present in Old World. Yeah, for sure. My guilty like thing that I'd love to see, mate, is like I think I've told you this before, is like fourth, fifth ed fantasy style armies, where it's just like a couple of regiments, a chariot, couple of characters, BSB, mage, character,
Yeah.
big bad monster. Love it.
Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. But here's my number. Call me maybe. I think we just need to go a little bit bigger with this main one. Chaos Dwarves! I love Chaos Dwarves.
Okay, well, that's a great question. Are Chaos Stores going to be included? I mean, are Chaos Stores going to be included right now in Age of Sigmar? I mean, we've just seen a bunch of links to them. Little hot known secret. Chaos Stores is the very first box set I ever got.
What is it?
It was a box of Chaos Dwarves and a Bretonian paint set.
Empire Halberdiers for me, my man.
Oh,
That's called the Lamassu. They had the Great Taurus and they had the Lamassu.
yeah, throw some out in the chat. We've got 55 people in the chat. I want to see some answers. First model kit. I want to know what it is. There's going to be some absolute rippers.
Sweet.
Tactical Marines for Skara. A Screaming Bell, the old metal.
Oh.
Jared, you're an animal, Jared.
You're an animal.
What are you thinking?
You are an absolute savage. Get that up, yeah. Savage Garden greatest hits.
Jesus, that's like you are the equivalent of the metal hive tyrant kid. Orc knobs for Marzi. The old metal Terminators for Cujo. Is that the old ones as in the ones in the green box? The old Blood Angel cover ones? Grenadier Dragoons. Is that I'm assuming historical potentially? Squig Riders for Sleepy Slang. That's a great choice, mate. The new Squig Riders are sick. In fact, that whole range, man, the whole Gloomspike Gits range is awesome.
I did a couple of those actually. I'll concur to that statement. They are pretty good. All right, friends.
Metal Orcs and Gobos, Paul. Yeah.
Let's get a little bit of this gloss going on here.
Got a heap of miniatures.
Empire Halberdiers, mate. $7.99 they were, and I bought a bag of flock along with them.
It's that in the bag of flock, eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
My best mate at the time, JC, not this Jared Clifford, but another mate. His name was, it's interesting actually, his name was Jason Ball. So for whatever reason, we called him JC. Makes no sense, but I don't know. JB doesn't roll off the tongue as well, I think.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, we called him JC. He brought a high elf spearman. So and then we played games with those two units.
Were the halberdiers actually a box of halberdiers, or was it like 3 or 4?
No, that was back in the day when you used to get 10 in a box, mate.
Yeah. Oh, are they the old? I'm assuming they're the old colourful boxes, like with the laid out models on the front cover.
Yeah,
like
the dudes just holding the swords like full on.
What I wouldn't pay, man, for a box of wood elves from that generation.
Oh. All right. Moment of truth. Probably have checked this before, but I didn't.
Oh, does the arm come off?
Yeah. Whoopses. I'm sure it'll be fine. Just wanna
seal it first before you pull it off.
Already sealed. Already sealed, mate. Okay, let's go. That one's certainly stiffer than I'd like. Whee! Whee! Ha ha!
Great success.
Great success. Cool. Awesome.
So who's got dibs on this character? Snake Eyes.
Yeah, Daz wants to play the priest. Yeah.
What are you pretty keen to play? The bear or the druid chick?
Well, so yeah, we're playing. It's only a 4-player game, and my group is
You're 5 strong.
5. Yeah. So I'll be running the game because I'm going to play this by myself. But
yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll be playing. So there's a character called the Warden. I'll show you. He's this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's this dude. I think he's my favorite model. He's super cool. Look at him. Look at him.
Yeah, he's a bit of a chat, isn't he?
Yeah. All right. What are we going to paint next, friends? It's up to the chat while I just take a photo of this. Oh, enjoy that lovely angle of my light.
Don't tell me that, Paul. Jealous now.
Paul. I am, Cujo. I am. Is there any other way?
He's a madman.
Okay, let's go. Cool. Let's get the three amigos together. And I'll even do it on a metal ruler, just for fun. Boo, boo.
Ah, but look at him.
Look at the boys. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. The boys.
Of these three, I definitely would be. I'll probably play all three of these characters.
Yeah.
Paint a lady next from Skara.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So we can do this lady. She's ready to go. So I guess that'll probably be the next one, most likely.
The Dryad chick.
Yep.
+1 from Cooch on the lady.
This is technically a lady, so maybe we should paint her.
Oh, that's the bear for sure he's pulling up.
The bear. I wouldn't mind doing the bear, actually. We've got the Huntress. She's awesome. And then the Witch. They're the only three. They're the three ladies, if you don't count the bear. The Huntress and the Witch. Yeah. All right. I think it's raid time, friends. Let's go find. I'll turn my camera on now so you can all see me. I'm back. Haha.
Wood for the wood throne, indeed.
Skulls for the throne of wood. That may have come off slightly different to how I intended. G'day, friends. Party Monday. Let's go raid someone. Who's on? Nalin's playing Diablo. Mini Dens. Oh, shut up, Deno. No one wants to hear you on repeat. Oh, Emmanuel's painting. Maybe we should go raid Emmanuel Terzoni. He only started 8 minutes ago. Yeah, I think we'll go raid him. Let's go raid him. He's a really good dude, actually.
Just a few big names streaming recently. Sergio's been streaming a bit.
Yeah, Sergio's getting into it. Cool dude. Green art of colors. Friends, it's been a pleasure. I am off playing games tomorrow night, but then I'm back on Wednesday night, where we'll be painting another model from Oathsworn, or maybe playing Imperium Classics, depending on if my mate Koki wants to come over. Thanks for the chat, Bucks.
See you, chat.
See ya.